A phrase that's been around churches and Christian communities for a long time is that of life application from the Bible. We have sermons all about life application. We have life application study Bibles. We have small groups that are focused on how do I apply this passage or this verse into my life, and so on. It's all throughout our church. Well, today I want to share a different perspective on this idea of applying the Bible and life application from the Bible. So let's get started. Now, first, it is great that the Bible provides real-world, daily, practical application for our lives. Following Jesus, it leads to real changes. Changes in the way that we speak, the way that we behave towards one another, how we interact with strangers. There's a whole list of application in our lives. Our lives should be different because we apply what we learn in the Bible. Jesus tells us to do what he teaches. That is clearly application. Sometimes there's direct lines of wisdom that we might pull out of Proverbs or things that we pull out of Ephesians. Direct, clear instruction. That's application. So clearly, the Bible has life application to us. And it might be a passage that you read maybe 10 years ago, and now you read it again, and it means something else to you. You get a new understanding and new application from that. So the Bible, yes, absolutely has life application purposes for us. So what's the different perspective? What is it that I wanted to share today? Well, the other perspective is to think about the Bible itself. And what I mean by that is, who is the author of this book? Who were they writing to? What was the intended purpose for this passage? What was the context of this verse in the context of a chapter or the entire book? How does this book fit into the overall Bible? Those kinds of things. Because without that, when we just pull a single verse here and there, it's very easy to misuse and incorrectly apply the Bible. For example, we'll take the story of David and Goliath. Famous story, David and facing down the giant of Goliath. What we'll often do with applying that is say, well, I'm David, and in front of me is this big Goliath that I have to defeat. I'm David, and in front of me is, a financial problem or a relationship problem, something that is in front of me, and I'm going to get my 5 stones, and I'm going to defeat this Goliath. That's not what the story is about. That story is not about us. That story is about God and his power, not me and my power. Or another one might be Jeremiah 29:11. That one's taken out of context quite a bit. We might think, well, that is me being promised by God that nothing bad is going to happen to me. God knows what my life is going to be, and he's going to prosper me, and he's going to make sure nothing bad happens to me. So that's how I'm going to apply that verse. But if we take that verse in context, it's not about me. That's about Jews living in exile at that time. So that isn't something I can apply to me living a good life here and now today, because that is not what that Bible verse was about. It's so easy to take a Bible verse and use it out of context, to apply it out of context. It's easy to take a Bible verse and apply it as if it's about me. The fact is, though, that the Bible, while it is for you, it is not about you. The Bible is not your story. Neither you nor I are a central character in Scripture. The Bible, it's about God. It's about his character, his plan. It's his story. So does the Bible apply to our lives? Absolutely. Yes, it does. All throughout our lives. There are Scripture telling us to use what we learn. Jesus tells us to do what he says. So absolutely, there's application there for us. That's important. But before we apply the Bible, we need to seek understanding of the Bible. Not from our own perspective, but from the perspective of those who wrote it. That means knowing the historical context, knowing the author's original audience, knowing the intention of that author. Why was it written to that audience at that time? That means you're going to have to study. That means you're going to have to read commentaries. That means you're going to really have to do more than maybe just spend an hour at church on the weekend. You really have to take this to heart to do this work for yourself and your own understanding and then application of the Bible. This takes work, but it's good work. The more you learn, the more you want to keep learning this stuff because it really does change your life. So the short version here, understand the verse before you apply the verse. And we're getting ready for our next BASECAMP event. It's 4 days and 3 nights here in the Colorado mountains. It's a life-changing experience. This one in the spring is sold out. The next one coming up is in the fall. It'll be in September. This is for men, helping them to become the husbands, fathers, and leaders, become the men that God created them to be. If that's interesting to you, if you're looking for something like that, head over to significantman.com and check out the BASECAMP experience. Please be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you listen to your podcasts or if you watch it on YouTube. Rate it, comment, leave a review. Your subscriptions, your comments, your reviews, they really help other people find the show. So thank you for that. All right, enjoy the next show.